This is Joe the Red Guy here today to show you how to do a spark plug change on a 2004 to 2007 Toyota Sienna. As you see, I've already progressed a little bit, but I figured this was complicated enough where a video might be in place. So I'm going to run through what I did to get to this point. Obviously, we need to take off the wiper cowl. And to do that, you first have to take off the wiper arms from the wiper assembly. 14mm bolts that come off here. And I was able just to pry them up. I didn't have to use any kind of puller or anything. I did mark with tape where the wiper arms are supposed to sit, towards the bottom, just so I know how to put the arms back in place correctly. After you get the arms off, you just need to pull this off. It's the cowl with all the clips. Comes off, there's no tools required. Maybe a little puller or something, or pry tool, but it's against the glass, you don't want to pry too much. Then next was to actually disconnect the wiper assembly, which uses a 10mm bolt, one here, one right there, and one right there. And these two actually help hold it down. So once you do that, then there was a 10mm bolt, two 10mm bolts from the wiper cowl held this down, but there's one here, and every one along these holes, one right up against here. I did not need to remove this one. And here, and again in those two back parts. Once I did that, there is 3 bolts that held the cover down. Uses and just holds down on the rail here. And this pops off. Then I started taking away the miscellaneous airbox stuff. There's one hose that goes to the top, and then this piece sat down on top of here, just like so. There's a hose that goes through into the diaphragm here. 2 connectors. This little pop tab held this connector in place, and this connector right here. I disconnected that. Disconnected the vacuum hose from here. There's also a vacuum hose that goes to the intake right here. Pulled that off. These two go to also to the air box. Those come off. I'll show you the air box. Air box sat in here. 2 tubes, take them off, make sure you mark which one goes to where. Also this tube here for the PCV system comes off, and the clip for the mass airflow sensor. 2 10mm bolts. Accumulator head bolts hold the airbox in, comes off. Then from this point there was 2 10mm nuts that held this on. So I undid those, undid my wiring, pull this thing away. That way it is free. Then, because there is coolant lines running through the throttle body, I did disconnect the throttle body connector. 2 10mm nuts up top, 2 10mm bolts on the bottom. Just pull this free, that way you don't have to bleed the cooling system when you're done with this job. Just comes free. Gasket was, for me, $8 from O'Reilly's. Very easy. It was a circle with a screen on it. My screen went inward. So. Then there was also a hose here. Need to come off. And also the booster hose has come off. So once you get now, the tricky part about this is that you can see that there's a holder here. There was a 12mm bolt in there. There's one right around the corner from the throttle body. If you look underneath, you can see the tube coming up. Right back there. Comes up, and it's very hard to see, but it's pretty much in the same position as this, just around the corner attached to the actual manifold. And I got that with a 12mm wrench from up top. then when you come back here, there is a hose you need to remove. Right there, there's a little spring clamp on it, and I have freed it already from its holder. So once you're done with that, there's, let's see if I can get a picture of it for you. There's a 12 mil nut or bolt, 14 mil head bolt that connects this little bracket. A little bit on the coolant hose to get it out of the way. Okay, so now we get to the point where I'm at. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 10 mil head hex bolts. There is a 10 mil way to take out for this ground wire here. So this ground wire side, obviously disconnect your negative ground cable. Okay, so I apologize earlier, it is actually an 8 mil bolt for these and a 14 mil socket for the nut, which I have previously loosened. So now we're actually just going to once they're all loose, just lift up on it. And pivot it around. So you need to pivot it around the fuel rail line. Then you get it out and set it off to the side. Okay, so now I'm going to pull the manifold out. Lift up the studs. So pull towards the front of the van. You'll be able to pop it off the spot. Get it off the studs. And bring it on out. Make sure you disconnect the brake hose that I didn't. Don't pull any hoses. Whenever you're taking a hose off, make sure you grab it with a non-grippy part of the pliers and twist it out. Never pull straight off. Otherwise you can't just rip your hose. Here's your gaskets you need to replace. You guys do replace these. You will have vacuum leak issues if you don't. Now you've exposed the rear coil packs. I'm going to do one spark plug on the back side and one on the front on video just to show you how to get it done. Then repeat the process for the other two. And we will go from there. Okay, so I've covered the intake port so that we don't accidentally drop anything down in there. That could be bad news bears. Alright, so these are very simple. Just be careful. You don't want to break these. Just take one. You're just going to disconnect your coil and just do that for the remainder. You can't really mix these up, and they're short enough to they only go to the one coil. 10mm bolt holds the coil on. Take the bolt out. Just give me one. Rock it back and forth. Twisting motion, and the coil should come out. So we're going to take our 5/8 spark plug socket. Never use a power tool to remove a spark plug. We'll make sure it's coming first. Just remove them by hand. Now, there is your spark plug. These are iridiums. I'm not sure Denso is the factory plug or not, but it seems like it would be. They don't look too bad, but now we're gonna get your new plug. Put some anti-seize on the threads for sure, guys. I always put the spark plugs in with a little bit of anti-seize to prevent galing of the threads, not just to make them easier to remove. And don't drop anything down the hole. Okay, so we got our new spark plug pre-gapped at 0.42 thousandths of an inch. The gap is from 0.39 to 0.43. We got our copper anti-seize on it. We are going to try threading it in. Okay, so then we're going to torque it to 18 foot-pounds. So what you do is you take your coil, reinstall it, put the bolt in, reinstall your plug on that one. I promised we were going to do one on the back side. This one I can't get my tool in there. I'm going to take the 10mm bolt out with a regular ratchet. There's your nut in there very tight. I feel that this is the hardest one to actually replace because of this mount here, so that's why I'm choosing to do this one for you guys. Again, twist the coil back and forth. Inspect for your oil visually. insert your spark plug. Start to thread it in. If it doesn't go in by hand, guys, you got issues. Either with the threads or something, so just make sure it goes nice and steady. Again, just torque the plug. Reinstall your coil. Take your connector, place that back on. Now just 4 more to do. Okay, so I now have all the new spark plugs in place. Here's a better view of those brackets that hold on the intake manifold. So again, we're going to slide this one out of the way a little bit. Probably going to need something to weigh that down, otherwise it wants to keep falling back in place. There's that. So what we're going to do, I have replaced my O-ring gasket. See the old ones on the floor over there? So now, there is a gasket that goes in the front throttle body mount. But I'll do that while it's actually on the car. So now, what we're going to do is actually put the intake manifold back in place. Again, you can see that there's one bolt there. 14 mil goes in here, and the other one into the throttle body, or second half of the throttle body housing, or air control valve housing, whatever they call it. So we're going to remove I'm going to use some isopropyl alcohol to clean up my intake manifold mating gasket. Just we're good enough to get these O-rings back on. I'm gonna take the intake manifold towards the back first. Get this under the throttle. Lined up on both of their alignment studs. That's why they stud this one. I'll go all the way down like I just did. Okay, so now what we're caught up on. You can see that there is a gap in there. And what we're stuck on is the rear mount piece, and then before we button this down, we're gonna get those bolts in the back. See where I'm coming in from. Starting with this one. You might need to pull up on the manifold because we don't have it mounted to the gasket surface yet. But sometimes if you mount it too fast, you won't be able to actually throw these in. They'll be off by here. There's the other. Okay, so once you have that, mounted in place. I just had this nut snug so that I could get that back. Okay, so we're gonna slide our piece under the fuel rail there. Get these bolts all kind of snug down back in their place. Okay, so I just snug those down. Now I'll get the Torx back out. So, the Torx back is 11 foot-pounds. No particular tightening sequence was given. So we're going to go like this. Tighten our last ones here. Seem to be tight enough. Okay. So then that is that part of the manifold on. Then we're going to get those bolts in the back. Okay, so now we're tightening our 14 mil on the back. Okay, so remove the throttle body out of the way. Put our new gasket in, which faces the screen more towards the inward portion. Get that little tab in there and just press it in all the way around. Then slide the throttle body on the two top studs. Put the bolts back in. Some of the studs up top. Very lightly cinch it up in a cross pattern. So there's that. And now what we're gonna do before I forget is there is a put this pipe back on. Move that clamp back. Put your brake booster hose back on. There's that. Now we're gonna torque the throttle body down. Okay, so I'm going to torque everything to 8 foot-pounds for the throttle body. It's not very much, so. Okay. And now reconnect your throttle body itself. Alright, so we'll put the wiper housing back in. And the next step is to get your wiring back through. I disconnected the brake fluid sensor. So I'm going to reconnect that. I'm going to come up and reconnect your wiper assembly. Come over here. Reconnect. Whatever this connector goes to, I'm not really sure. Let's make sure that these go up underneath the rubber flaps. Get your windshield. So. Your wiper arms, here the straight one goes more towards the passenger side. Lined up with your marks that you made in. Three studs. Put your Allens back in. Yeah, I'm Joe the Auto Guy. Thanks for watching this video. Hope it helped you. Please like and subscribe. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, and my email's down below.